So, and then piggybacking off of that, we also got to thinking, what if Jordan never left the Bulls? What if he never pursued the baseball career? And then what if he, and he stayed? What if he didn't come back? We want to talk about those two things. What does the landscape of the NBA for the 90s look like if Jordan's not there?
Roll the intro. I guess thinking about it, we've kind of grown up with LeBron, and I have said it today talking to you that I've probably seen more of Michael Jordan, like interview-wise, in this docu-series than I have of Kobe. So it was more fun to kind of think, like, who would you rather play for or with, MJ or LeBron? It's fun to think about, man, because what's LeBron's biggest knock for his career so far,
He is not having that winner's mentality, not
being that guy.
Yeah, not being that guy that Michael Jordan is. And I mean, this is what this series shows. And it's crazy to me that everyone, is, oh man, Michael comes off as kind of an asshole in this. But you got to think, man, this is the best player probably ever.
Yeah.
And he's working harder than, arguably everyone on that team but Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. Those are your three best.
It's hard to say. Yeah.
Maybe Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr knew what he was doing too.
Yeah,
he had already won. Steve Kerr was good.
Yeah, so, that's another thing with quick tangent. Steve Kerr, like, you don't win. What did he have? 5 titles as a player. Now 3 as a coach. 3,
4
as a coach. Right? No, he had 3 with the Bulls and 2 with the Spurs.
Okay, so he was on the 2003.
So even if you're just a role-playing type player, that's not a fluke, right? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, he's a part of those championship teams.
He had some big shots for him.
Yeah. But yeah, you kind of see those players, like, that's Phil and MJ, like, that's them injecting that culture into that, like, man, it's tough. It's hard to not say the Bulls, because we were talking about it before we started, that when I was initially watching I think it was episode 6, it was one of the new ones, either 7 or 8. It wasn't 6.
Mm-hmm.
When I was initially watching it, I didn't see it as like, man, he really is being an asshole. What a mean guy. Like, because I played sports all growing up, and I know you did too, and it's kind of like that's just what the guys do, right? We kind of just give each other shit.
I mean, if you want to win, yes. I need you at your best. Like,
yeah, and even as kids, though, you're like, man, Johnny kind of sucks.
Yes.
And then the way to not get picked on is to not suck.
To get better.
Yes. And that's kind of it, right? Is like, if you're not, maybe we were doing it from like a different place than Michael Jordan, because he's like straight up says like, I needed to make sure that he was ready for the playoffs, and maybe we were just being jerks. But maybe like subconsciously we were like, hey man, I need you to not be garbage so you can be more like Jim instead of John, kind of thing.
I mean, it's like growing up playing sports, when you play them as long as he has, and even us, like, I wanted to win. I didn't want to lose. No one likes losing. Michael Jordan's playing at the highest level. He does not want to lose. He didn't get to be the best player in the world by losing. You look at it, and the fact that he went into the gym and changed his body and got stronger after losing to the Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that showed his dedication. The dude was already great.
Mm-hmm.
But he still put in that work to be even better.
It wasn't enough, yeah.
Yeah.
My knock on LeBron, I would say, it's not even a knock. He's such a good player, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we're comparing him to Michael Jordan, right?
Yep.
And this docuseries is only showing, like, me, who didn't get to watch his whole career, it's only showing me the best parts of his career for the most part. Yep. Or it's even highlighting and showing how, like, the faults of his career were kind of celebrated anyways. So for LeBron, it just seems like he's always trying to be liked by everybody, instead of where MJ was just like, I don't care if you like me. Like, I'll smile for the cameras, I'll sign autographs, but as far as players and everyone in the league. Like, I feel like that LeBron has kind of made that we're chums.
Yeah.
As far as player-to-player relationships go, considering that this is his era, by and large, even if he doesn't have the hardware to show it, this, decade and a half has been dominated by him. So I think he kind of set the friendly culture in a way.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it and you see Michael Jordan talking about all the guys he went against, I mean, just look at what he said about Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler at the time was probably the second best player in the NBA. And you look at it, Michael Jordan was told, Clyde Drexler is right there behind him. And Jordan was told Drexler was the, second best player in the league at that time. And Jordan wanted it known he's nowhere close to Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Like, as good as Drexler was, he's not Michael Jordan. And he let it known quick. He let it be known in the first game, hitting 6 threes in the first half.
That dude's so good, man.
So I just think that's the spot that LeBron James has been missing in his game. There's so many people now that we say, hey, this guy's coming up to take his spot. Is it Giannis? Is it Kawhi Leonard? Is it KD? Michael Jordan wouldn't let anybody take that spot until he retired.
Yeah, and when I'm trying to think, when LeBron was his most dominant, in the league, he's always kind of hung numbers. But in the league, his most dominant was probably in Miami, right?
Yeah, the end of Miami and those first 2 years back in Cleveland.
Yeah, and it kind of just seemed like when he was in Miami there, it was like he was hanging points and just ruining people because it looked fun. Like alley-oops from D-Wade, and he started to expand his game and shoot a little bit better. And where MJ was just different. He was he had an agenda, and it was to just make everyone feel bad about their game because he was just better. And I don't think it was because he was mean. I think it's because he's just – everybody tries to put a cape on these guys. And I think what this documentary has taught me is that they're all a little different, especially with the greats. They're all a little crazy. Look at Mike Tyson. That dude, he took a tumble from, the mountaintop.
Yeah.
And now he kind of self-reflects in a great way, and it's really healthy for what he's doing. But Michael Jordan really never took that fall, man. And they talk about it in a lot of these. You can even see people where it's oh, yeah, this guy did this that night. That's all Michael needed. Why is that all he needed? Why couldn't he just be oh, man, he didn't say hi to me at the restaurant. George Karl. George Karl didn't say hi to him, and he was that was all I needed. That after that, it was on. You guys were playing each other in the finals. Just because he didn't say hi to you, obviously you know each other. Why do you need that?
I mean, and my favorite one was when they were talking about the Dream Team practice, and Magic said his team went up 6 or 8, and then him and Charles Barkley started talking trash to Michael Jordan, and then Jordan just goes off for 9 straight points.
Yeah,
and then his team wins, and at the end of it, Magic's yeah. I look at Charles and I'm why do we even talk shit to him, man? They
even going off, piggybacking off of that, even Tony Kukoc in that same Olympics. They didn't have any reason to pick on that poor guy and just beat his ass the way they did.
In that first game.
Other than that they signed him. They wanted him, and he wasn't one of our guys already. So we took it personal. Well, why? You're making your team better. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think part of that's all on, was on Jerry Krause for kind of
that was early on, though. That wasn't the end of it.
Yeah, but still,
I don't know. But that was kind of the competitive thing. They would always just find something where you see LeBron calling everybody oh yeah, little bro, stay up, young homie. If you need this and that, type of shit. Where MJ it was never that. You knew that you were never boys. You go back and you look at the greats Reggie, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. The list goes on, man. And that you interview those guys about MJ, and they're just man, that dude can eat shit. He was probably the best player that's ever existed, but man, that guy can take a walk. Reggie Miller's a little different because Reggie Miller would play that game. Reggie Miller was about the game. But by and large, Patrick Ewing, man, they talked to him a little bit in this, and they're just you can see it. He's just man,
I think Patrick Ewing's is just it comes from all the times he lost to Jordan, though.
Right, and that's kind of it,
because he lost
though,
to him
right?
at Georgetown when UNC beat him in the NCAA championships, and then he goes to the NBA and he loses to him, and he can never get past Jordan and the Bulls.
But you see that in the league now with LeBron for like the East for years.
Yeah.
But you don't have that same kind of like, look at the Raptors. They were just like, oh, if we had LeBron, then we'd probably win every game too. Instead of like just completely dragging the dude's name through the mud and just talking shit about him. Like, it's just like it is what it is.
I think in today's game, I think there are only a few people who are like that. Like, I feel like Chris Paul is like that. Chris Paul would have fit in the 90s because he doesn't get along with a lot of the players. It doesn't look like during the games. Like, he's not afraid.
Have you seen the video? Have you seen the video of him when he was with Houston? When Steve Kerr's like laughing and like clapping with him?
Oh,
and he goes back and like, that's so good, dude.
Yeah, I
love
mean,
it.
like Chris Paul's a guy. He gets along with everybody, but during the game, that dude is a pest.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about anybody else's feelings.
Yeah.
Like, you see him go back and forth with LeBron during games because he doesn't care. He wants to win. But I mean, I don't know. Like, you just, to me, I've never really seen that fire from LeBron where, he just wants it that bad.
I think another point that we brought up earlier but didn't hear is LeBron always feels like that guy that'll be like, this guy's not working out, let's get someone else in here. Where MJ was going to be an asshole to you to bring the best out of you.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw like people that had potential and things like that in Cleveland that just didn't pan out.
Look at Danny Green.
Because of why, yeah, right. Like, Danny Green went to San Antonio and was like, he killed it, man. He had some real big shots for San Antonio.
Yeah,
even in Toronto.
Yeah.
Even in Toronto, man. Like,
now with the Lakers.
Yeah, yeah, I guess he's still kind of the same role, but when he was in Cleveland, yeah, I feel it. So if you had to pick one guy to play with, now that we've gone through that, as an athlete, who would you want to play for?
Man, I want to win, and I want to play with MJ.
Choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Like, I mean,
like LeBron's been to however many finals and has done this and that in this amount of time, but MJ's got the hardware, bro.
He's the second best player I've ever seen play basketball behind MJ, but he's not the winner. Like, I want to win. I don't want to just go out here and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's MJ.